2015 saw arguably the biggest spike in global terrorism. With this came the rise of anti-Muslim attacks.
Go back to your country where they're bombing every day.
Yeah, good Muslim, innit? Yeah, no one knows what you're saying. Nobody knows. Go back to Turkey and talk that. Oh no, you can't. The gets blown up in Turkey.
As the world welcomes a new year, this cycle of terror attacks and hate crime shows no sign.
It's not just low-level crime, it's also led all the way up to major murders.
Ukrainian PhD student Pavlo Lapshin, who detectives described as calm, calculated and committed. His victim was Mohammed Salim, an 82-year-old devout Muslim. Lapshin stabbed him as he made his way home from the local mosque. Over the next few months, he plotted and made bombs, which he took to 3 mosques in the West Midlands.
Mohsen Ahmed, an 81-year-old Muslim man, was attacked and later died in August 2015 on his way to a mosque in Rotherham. 2 men are to face trial in February this year for the murder of Mohsen Ahmed.
Now, I think from the Muslim community perspective, we failed on 2 things. One is actually dealing with the crazy nut jobs in our community. But B, the bigger thing we failed on is that we have allowed the government and the political elite to set a narrative that says Muslims are to blame. Because they play a blame game, and we haven't done enough to counter that and say, well, actually, you're lying because of X, Y, and Z. And I think that's where us as a community, we need to really
advocate that we put a Muslim in charge of this nation. I absolutely would not agree with that.
Ben Carson said that he wouldn't want a Muslim as president in answer to a question about whether the Islamic religion is consistent with the Constitution last week.
We problem in this country, it's called Muslims. We know our current president is one. Right. You know he's not even an American.
We need this
birth
question.
certificates, man. But anyway, we have training camps growing where they want to kill us. Mm-hmm. That's my question. When can we get rid of
We're going to be looking at a lot of different...
Yeah, 12-year-old Waleed Abu Shaban is an honor student here at First Colony and says he has no idea why his teacher called him a terrorist in front of his whole class yesterday.
We were in the class watching a movie, and I was just laughing at the movie, and the teacher said, "Why? I wouldn't be laughing if I was you." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Because we all think you're a terrorist."
Waleed says the class was watching Bend It Like Beckham after their STAR tests, and that after the comment, other students started making fun of him.
They're like, "Oh, I see a bomb," and they started all laughing and making jokes. I was upset, and I felt like I was put in the corner, and like everybody was just looking at me.
Fort Bend ISD has removed the English and Language Arts teacher from the classroom while it investigates. But Kwan Alex and Waleed's family want her permanently dismissed.
No religion should be targeted and disrespected by any administrator on any school campus.
Just because my son is a Muslim doesn't mean he's a terrorist. He's an American. He's as American as anybody else. He was born here. That's all he knows, is how to be an American.
I don't know, you tell us. They didn't tell us anything.
We're going to ask that you step off the aircraft without your device.
Why is that?
Oh, because they requested you to step off the aircraft.
Why is that?
You want to talk about it?
Now you're coming to tell me to get off the plane. Yes. Why is that? Because it's my decision.
Is it a discriminatory decision, or is it because, what is the reason?
It is a safety of flight issue.
Seriously?
Imagine a world where you can't get ahead because of what's on your head. The Indian-American actor and model Waris Ahluwalia was barred from a flight out of Mexico City to New York because he refused to remove his turban in public during a security check.
What had happened was I got on the boarding card when I arrived at the airport, the SSSS, the 4 S's, the sort of the dreadful quad S's that appears on a boarding card, and I happen to get it quite often, which leads me to believe that maybe it's to the screening they asked me to remove my turban, and at that which point I said, as matter of factly as they asked, I said I will not be removing my turban here, and they came back to me and said, you'll have to fly, you will not be flying Aeromexico, you'll have to fly another airline.
So Waris, you decided not to challenge it and just not to fly. And you made an amusing tweet.
In December, reported double the amount of incidents, violent incidents against Sikhs in America.
They saw packages being delivered. They saw Muslims, and they did not think that was enough to call the cops. Do you? They saw packages being delivered. They saw Muslims, and they did not think that was enough to call the cops.
In any form is a disease in society. Now, with all these varied views and opinions, all are in agreement that Islamophobia, hate crime, extremism must be curbed out of society. Now, how these groups are rooted out of society and the reasons why they commit such acts remains a contentious point. However, some continue to argue that Muslims are constantly playing the victim card in order to gain sympathy or to evoke feelings of compassion.
I don't think anyone can talk about victim mentality when that's the reality that many people are facing. Islamophobia has become socially acceptable. It's something that's become the norm in society when it comes to looking at Muslims.
It doesn't matter whether that person is Jewish, Muslim, has no faith, is wearing a niqab or wearing a miniskirt. You know, this sort of thing should not be happening in our society, and where it does happen, we should be speaking out against it.